Naming and trademarking podcasts and YouTube channels. If you are a podcaster or a YouTuber, you have got to recognize that choosing the right title for your show can make or break your brand. And today, I'm going to guide you through the ultimate legal do's and don'ts to help you avoid common pitfalls and set your show up for success. So let's get started. Welcome to Legit Podcast Pro, the show where we help you navigate the legal and business aspects of podcasting and digital media. I'm your host, Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and in today's episode, we're talking about branding your show. This is my sort of ultimate guide to naming your podcast or YouTube channel. When you're launching or growing a podcast or a YouTube channel, picking the perfect name really is sort of crucial for attracting listeners and viewers, and just as importantly, for staying out of trouble. So let's dive right in and start with talking about the importance of a strong title and brand. First things first, what exactly is a brand or a title in the context of a podcast? Well, or a YouTube channel? Simply put, it's the identity of your show. A strong title can draw in your target audience, make your content easily discoverable, and set you apart from the competition. Think of your title as the first impression, so make it count. Your title is often the first thing that potential listeners or viewers will see, so it needs to be catchy and representative of your content. A well thought out title can significantly boost your show's visibility and its appeal. Now, the legal considerations in branding that we have to think about are significant. First off, understanding trademark basics is absolutely essential. A trademark protects your show's name and logo, ensuring that no one else can use it. But why should you care? Well, not checking out and determining if there are any existing trademarks or other, people using the same titles can lead to costly legal battles and even force you to rebrand entirely. And let me tell you, nothing puts a damper on your creative spirit quite like getting a cease and desist letter, a nasty gram from a lawyer. So the things to do is to perform a trademark search. Maybe not a full trademark search at first, but start with a simple online search. Look up your potential names on your search engines of choice to see if anyone is already using them. Also look at the podcast directories and, of course, on YouTube as well. And then also maybe check out sites like Amazon.com and see if there is a book series or any other media out there using a similar title to what you've got in mind. And then, assuming you haven't found anything there, check the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. That's the USPTO.gov database. This is a crucial step to ensure that your name isn't already legally protected as a registered trademark belonging to someone else. And if you're planning for global reach, and let's face it, podcasts and YouTube are pretty global, it makes sense to look at international trademark databases as well. This step will ensure that your brand is safe no matter where your audience might be located. And if you're not finding any obvious no-go signals, then it's wise to actually run a true comprehensive trademark search. And this is done through a third-party paid service that will give you an exhaustive look at really everything out there that could potentially be a problem. So here are a few do's and don'ts when choosing a title for your show. First off, we'll start with some do's. Do be unique and memorable. Think creatively to come up with a distinctive name that is distinguishing of your show from others in the marketplace. Your title should stand out and be easily remembered and identified by your audience as coming from you. Do check for availability, ensure that your name isn't already in use or trademarked, and this will save you from potential legal issues and the hassle of rebranding later on. Do consider your target audience and make sure your title is tailored to appeal to your intended listeners or viewers, because understanding your audience's preference can really help you craft a more engaging title and give them what they're looking for. Do keep it simple and easy to spell. This makes your title accessible and easy to find. Complicated or hard to spell names can turn away potential followers or at least make it hard for your your diehards to find you. And do secure your domain and social media handles. Consistency across the platforms really is important. Ensure that your show's name is available as a domain and on most of the major social media platforms so you maintain that unified brand presence. And if it isn't available, think hard about whether you want to try to deal with that potential confusion or the difference between what's available in there and your chosen title. Now, on the don't side of this equation, choosing a title and brand, don't use generic terms. Generic terms can be very hard to protect and less engaging. They don't stand out and they're often not very memorable. And the same is true of terms that are just descriptive. The basket weaving show isn't going to tell us much about who's behind it or what kind of, which particular basket weaving show we're talking about. So be careful that you choose something that's going to be distinctive enough to make an indelible impression on the audience. Don't infringe on trademarks. If you know that a name is already trademarked, that can lead to legal, well, even if you don't know, but if it is already trademarked, it'll lead to legal trouble. So if you know, just stay away. Treat that as hands off. This could result in really costly lawsuits, and you could be forced to rebrand and all the complications and expense of doing that as well. Likewise, if you find out that there's another similar or identical title already being used for a podcast or a YouTube channel, think hard about going in a different direction, because you just don't want to be confused with those other guys. Maybe they turn out a crappy product and that would reflect badly on you when people find the wrong one, or it may just make it harder to find yours. You want to stand out from the crowd a little bit. Don't make it too long or complicated. Keep your title concise and memorable. Long names are harder to remember and can be off-putting and more likely to be entered into a search bar and things wrong and those kinds of things. And don't ignore potential negative connotations. Make sure that your title doesn't have unintended meanings or associations. It's important that you research and understand all the possible interpretations and impressions that your title could make. There's lots of examples of phrases in one language that have a very clear meaning, and in some other language they might have a really negative connotation. So think about that. And don't forget to think about this in the long-term view. Choose a title that'll grow with your show. Avoid trends or fads that might date your show quickly. So next up, I want to cover some steps to trademarking your title or brand. Let's talk about those. Applying for a trademark can be a bit daunting, but it's really not that hard or complicated. What it is very technical, but it is a crucial step in protecting your show's identity. Here's what you need to do. First off, do that search and make sure the mark is available in the relevant classes of goods and services. Trademarks are broken down into classes, so you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about someone using the same title for a brand of medical equipment or shoelaces if you're doing a podcast and entertainment and educational kind of a service. So there's at least two classes that cover in the entertainment space. There's the Class 41, which covers entertainment and educational services, the stream and the creation of the content. And then if you're doing an audio podcast that's downloadable, that's also considered goods, and that falls into Class 9. And there's more classes that might be appropriate if you're planning to release merchandise or other kinds of goods or services. Once you've gotten that cleared up, prepare the application. Gather all the information about your brand. That's the name, the logo, and identifying symbols and things like that. And you also need to provide your complete contact information, as well as some specimens, evidence that prove you're actually using the mark in interstate commerce. And you need to identify the date you first used the brand and the first date of use in interstate commerce. Now, with most podcasts and YouTube channels, the first time you go live, you publish an episode, that is in interstate commerce. So those two dates are likely to be the same. Then what you do is submit the application to the United States Patent and Trademark Office and ensure that all the documents are accurate and complete. Then you'll pay some required fees. The government fees for trademark registration range from $250 to $350 per mark per class of goods. And if you're using a lawyer, which I really think is important, there will be their legal fees as well to consider. Now, once you've submitted the application, the government takes a fairly long time to respond. The current thing seems to be about 8 or 9 months from the time you submit your application. You'll get some kind of a response back from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. That response may be just a notice that it's approved for publication, or that they could be asking for more information, or they could be refusing the registration on the grounds that it's descriptive, or that there is a likelihood of confusion with another trademark or something like that. So at this stage, you have a period of time, a few months, to submit that additional information or clarification or make your legal arguments and so on in order to support the registration of the trademark before they either issue a final refusal or do approve it for registration. Assuming it's approved, what happens next is they publish the trademark in what's called the Gazette. And that is an opportunity for folks to object to it because it's confusingly similar with theirs, or they feel you're not the right owner or something like that. It's pretty rare to see an opposition to a trademark at this stage, but it does happen. And it takes about 30 days of publication, and then it is finalized and the registration is granted. Once it's granted, you need to keep the trademark active by following up on the renewal deadlines. In the United States, we have to renew in the 6th year, so 5 years after registration, and then again in the 10th year and every 10 years thereafter. So monitor your trademark and make sure also that nobody's infringing, because if you sit on those rights and don't put a stop to those kinds of things, you are at risk of being deemed to have abandoned your brand. So using an experienced lawyer in all this can dramatically increase your chances of success with registration. The lawyer will help navigate the complexities of the application process and handle any legal challenges that might arise. An experienced lawyer like myself will ensure that your application is filed correctly, and we can provide valuable advice on protecting the brand. Think of it this way. A lawyer is a little like a GPS for your trademark journey. They'll help you avoid wrong turns and keep you on the right path. So earlier this week, as an example, I had a consultation with a YouTuber who was dealing with exactly this stuff. After about a year of doing his show, he realized that there was another channel with exactly the same title and still another with a very close to the same title. So we had to look at the timelines of things. Turns out when choosing the handle for his channel, he wasn't able to get the exact match for his title because it was already taken. Now that should have been a big red flag. The other guys had gotten there first, and that is important in trademark law because first in time to use a trademark in commerce is the first in right, and they win the race, even if it's just by a day or so. And the close but not exact match, well, they were there earlier too in this case, and they have lots more videos, so they're always ranking higher in search results. So unfortunately, I had to advise this channel owner that a rebrand is probably the best approach. Nothing we could do would work to stop these others from using the same title, and confusion is bound to occur. And if one of those other guys could prove that they were first to publish their show in interstate commerce, they could force the rebrand. Now, notice I said in commerce and with respect to publishing their videos. That's important because use in interstate commerce in association with the goods or services is really the threshold for trademark protection. So even though this potential client had in fact registered his domain and social media handles for the title prior to the other's use, he hadn't really put goods or services out into commerce yet. So the other guys won the race. So to recap, choosing a strong, legally sound title for your podcast or YouTube channel really is essential. Take the time to find something unique and catchy and distinctive that sets your channel apart from the rest. Do a search and check for trademarks and consider your audience. And once you've got your title set, well, that's the time when you want to register a trademark and secure it that way, preferably with the help of an experienced lawyer. That'll save you from a lot of headaches down the road. For more detailed guidance about trademarks for your show titles, you're invited to visit the Podcaster's Guide to Trademarks at podcasttrademark.com. And you can access more information and make an appointment to consult with me about your trademark if you visit firemark.com/trademarks. And with that, I'll say thanks for tuning in to Legit Podcast Pro. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others. And stay tuned for our next episode where we continue our journey helping you navigate the legal and business aspects of podcasting. And until then, I'll say thanks very much again. Happy podcasting.